everybody. Welcome. How's it going? Okay, so on behalf of the entire, we're going to begin the meeting now. On behalf of the entire Dedham Select Board, I would like to welcome you to tonight's meeting. If you don't know, my name is Dennis Tian. I am the chair of the Select Board, and on behalf of the entire board, that would be Vice Chair Aaron Welsh, Demetria Sullivan, Josh Gennady, and Jim McDonald. We want to welcome you to a presentation and discussion about the town's proposed door-to-door inspection program. Just to give you guys a little introductory remarks about the program, tonight we are discussing a proposed inspection program, and I think that's an important word. This is all proposed, nothing is set in stone yet. That's why we're here tonight. Inspection program in several Dedham neighborhoods, basically in parts of Green Lodge, the Manor, Capon, and Oakdale, related to the sewer inflow and infiltration, which if you've been following our board for the last, certainly my time on the board now, this is the start of my 11th year, and even going back a little before that, for I think 14 years, the town has had a program to address the inflow and infiltration back into the sewers. And Jason Mamone, our town engineer, is going to get into a little bit about what that is when he makes his presentation. We're going to start with an informational presentation. And the hope tonight is that you'll be able to see why this is an important issue and why this is a big concern for a lot of our neighbors. I think all of us on the board also know that there are some very legitimate concerns about the program you'll be presented tonight. And if any of you had watched our two discussions the board has held on this in open session, public meetings, you can see that I think pretty much every member of the select board has raised some pretty legitimate concerns about this program. And I can say I personally have some concerns about this program, but I also understand this is something we need to fix. And that's why we are trying to meet tonight to get some feedback from you all about what is a reasonable path forward and how this is going to look. Tonight is an opportunity to hear your concerns, your questions, your comments, and just ask that people be open-minded about this, because while there are clear potential problems with this program, and we know that, this is an issue that needs to be addressed, and there is no conspiracy here. We're doing this for two reasons. The first reason is it's a huge public health issue. We have people complaining to us that they have sewage, feces in their homes. They have it in their streets, they have it in their yards. And we have to address that problem one way or the other. And our engineering department feels like we've gone about as far as we can on some of the previous things we've done, and we still haven't really solved that problem. So we have to solve that problem one way or the other. And then the second is that there is a cost issue here. We pay over $1 million a year to the MWRA as a result of inflow and infiltration. And believe it or not, the previous efforts of Jason Mamone and the engineering department in this regard have saved Dedham residents $16 million over the last 14 years. We pay for this. So the less that we can get, the better. But the truth of the matter is, as you will hear, our engineering department feels like we have pretty much gone as far as we can, short of doing inspections of this line, of this matter. So we're kind of maxed out, and that's what we're doing tonight. To hear your concerns, the issues you raise, the problems that you bring up, and ultimately use that input to help us find some kind of solution on how exactly we move this forward. Ultimately, whatever this program becomes will be presented back to the select board, okay? And nothing will be finalized until the select board has the chance to have further input, and that will be in a meeting in open session. So there will be another opportunity for people to come and to comment during open discussion and to talk to us as we go through this process. So that's what we're really beginning tonight, is a process. We need to hear from you. I want to hear from you. I know all the board members want to hear from you. I know Leon and Jason want to hear from you. Your voices are important, and we thank you for coming. So at that point, I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll pass on to our town engineer, Jason Mamone. He's going to give you a presentation. That's about a half hour, and then we're going to have about an hour question and answer. I will bring the microphone to you when we get to the Q&A part. That will make it a little easier for people to speak up, okay? So I'll present to Jason. Hand it off to Jason now. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Dennis. My name's Chase Mamoni, Director of Engineering for the town of Dedham. First, I'd like to thank the Select Board for holding this informational meeting this evening so we can get some information out to everybody that's going to be potentially affected by this proposed program. Just in terms of introductions, before I get started, just on the town side, we have our town manager, Leon Goodwin, here today, Director of Public Works, Joe Flanagan, Director of Health, Kylie Foley, Director of Communications, Amanda Smith. Our town council, KP Law representative, is Greg Corbo. We have our consultants here this evening from Weston and Sampson. We have Nathan Michael and Patrick Cotton to handle some of the slides further on in the presentation, but also to answer some questions later on. There's a lot of information here to go over this evening, so I appreciate everyone's patience from the very beginning. Like Dennis had mentioned, we will have a questions and comments section at the very end, but we just respectfully hope that you just hold your comments and questions until that time, just to respect everyone's time and get through the presentation and hopefully get everyone home at a reasonable time. So what is inflow and infiltration, more commonly referred to as I&I? So to give you a little definition so you can be more aware of some of the terminology that we use this evening. Inflow is stormwater that enters the town's sewer system through piping that mistakenly directs stormwater to the sewer system instead of the drainage system. Infiltration is clean water from below the ground. You might know it as groundwater that comes in through broken sewer pipes, cracks, fractures, separated joints, and it can also get into sewer manholes through same structural type of defects. A prohibitive connection is a stormwater connection made to the town's sewer system that introduces inflow into the system. And these types of connections are prohibited, hence illegal, under the Mass Plumbing Code and Town of Dedham sewer regulations. Also, for a definition, we have sewer surcharge, which occurs when the sewer system is overloaded with a combination of sewer flow and I&I flow. The graphic that you see up there this evening are various types of inflow sources and infiltration sources. A lot of the things that we're going to be focusing on this evening is inflow. So if you look at the graph up on the screen, we have roof leaders, stairway drains, driveway drains. Inside the house, there are floor drains and some pumps. Some instances, there are also yard cleanouts. Some people have yard drains if they have ponding and the such, and sometimes it's just incorrectly connected, and this is one of the things that we're trying to determine. Some other information about why inflow and infiltration is important. It's a capacity problem that we're trying to maintain. The sewer system is designed to only transport wastewater consisting of just sewer flow. When sources of I&I get into the sewer system during storm events, capacity is reduced, creating a potential of surcharging. And this surcharging can cause private property sewer backups and or escape out of the sewer system and flow overland within our roadways and streets. There's also a cost to the ratepayers, everyone who's connected to the town sewer system. Back in FY22, the town of Dedham transported approximately 3.6 million gallons per day of wastewater to the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority for treatment. This wastewater consists of both sanitary flow and I&I flow. And based upon the data that we received from the MWRA, we basically had 1.8 million gallons of sanitary flow and 1.8 million gallons of I&I flow, basically 50-50. In FY22, the MWRA sewer assessment was approximately $6.1 million. And using the flow breakdown above, the I&I flow accounts for approximately half of the town sewer assessment, which is paid for by all of our customers. What is the main reason for the inspection program? Quite frankly, it's for the ongoing sewer surcharging that we're experiencing. For over a decade, approximately 24 homes in the Bonham Road, Greensboro section of town continue to experience private property backups during significant storm events. There are other isolated homes throughout the sewer sub-areas that also experience private property backups. Along with these private property backups, sometimes surcharging has been significant enough that wastewater has come out of a few of the sewer manholes and is flowing onto our roadway. Despite the ongoing efforts of the town to remove I&I flow from the public sewer system since 2007, these homes continue to experience backups. During the town's public meeting associated with a municipal vulnerability preparedness grant awarded by the state, to study flooding issues in the Manor Neighborhood in 2023, many residents from that neighborhood mentioned that they experienced sewer backups into their homes during significant rain events. The most recent rainstorms on December 12th, 23, January 1st, 24, and January 13th, 24 were events where many residents called and/or emailed the DPW, engineering department, town manager, and select board clearly stating that enough is enough. It was expressed that the town needs to take immediate aggressive actions to prevent these private property backups and roadway surge and charging events to happening again. The pictures that you see on the left of the slide are actual photos that were submitted to us from residents in the area, each of those from a different rain event. And we also received a video from one of the residents as well during the January 9th that I'd like to play.
Last video was just before 10 a.m. It's just after 6 p.m. Toilet paper all over the street. So we know that what that means about what's in that water. Look at all that toilet paper. All over the street. Still flowing. Toilet paper everywhere.
Directly in front of houses.
You know, where people ride their bikes, walk their dogs. Somehow this is okay. Toilet paper again everywhere. Right in front of houses. Going all the way down the street where there's another house. Last video.
Now I'm going to turn it over to Kylie Foley, who's going to bring up some important facts about public health associated with sewer backups.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kylie Foley, and I'm the health director here in Dedham. I'm going to briefly discuss the public and environmental health impacts of sewage backups. First and foremost, direct contact with sewage or contact with contaminated surfaces can make people and animals sick. Secondly, the presence of sewage in the environment can affect water quality, and this includes bodies of water used for recreational activities, so whether it's humans enjoying those bodies of water or your pets. And so as previously mentioned, people can get sick from sewage backups. This is because sewage contains bacteria, viruses, and other germs that can cause disease. To reiterate, illness can occur due to direct contact with sewage or contact with contaminated surfaces. Most commonly, folks may experience GI distress or skin rashes and infections. In people with weakened immune systems, including the elderly, and children may be at higher risk for illness. And finally, if you experience any symptoms, including nausea, diarrhea, or vomiting after exposure to sewage, please contact your healthcare provider for guidance.
Good evening. I'm Joe Flanagan, the Public Works Department. So when we see these overflows, we're going to on the following day try to monitor them, and as soon as they stop, we'll put lime down. We respond with that and street sweepers. We'll put lime all over the street, and then we'll sweep it all up. We also put it into we have a solution that we dump into the water tanks. So when we drive it we try to clean up some of the sanitary stuff with that. So do the best we can. Doesn't always get everything, but we do it. We try to make sure that we have enough of that stuff in stock. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe and Kylie. So what's the town's role in I&I flow removal? Since 2007, the town of Dedham has spent approximately $2.87 million in I&I flow identification and removal specific to the area in town that you see up there on the screen. This basically are 5 sub-areas, sewer sub-areas in the town of Dedham, which encompass parts of Green Lodge, parts of Cape and School, parts of Oakdale, and the Manor Neighborhood. Of that 2.87 million, we lined over 87,000 linear feet of sewer pipe, which is about 60% of all of our town-owned sewer mains. We lined and grouted 495 of our sewer manholes, about 40% of what we have in these sub-areas. We eliminated a cross-connection on Bonham Road, which was a direct connection of the stormwater system into one of the sewer manholes. So we disconnected that back in 2013. And the estimated peak I&I flow removed from all these tasks was about 1.5 million gallons per day. The graph that you see up on the screen, if you're able to see green dots and blue lines, that's all the work that we've done since 2007 for lining sewer mains and also rehabbing our sewer manholes. We've also been addressing privately owned infrastructure. In August of 2022, the town manager, with the support of the select board, approved an amendment to the town sewer regulations, allowing the town to use sewer enterprise funds to remove I&I flow from privately owned sewer laterals. Privately owned property owners where I&I flow has been identified for removal are noticed by the town. The town pays for all the work associated with the lining, provided that the owner signs a right of entry. To date, the town has lined 15 private laterals. 13 are actually within the proposed inspection program limits, and we removed approximately 51,000 gallons per day of peak I&I flow at an approximate cost of $500,000. We've also done a 2014 voluntary door-to-door inspection program. This one involved precincts 4, 5, and 6. There was approximately 3,600 parcels associated with this door-to-door program. We had 42% participation rate and 58% non-participation rate. The approximate cost of that program was about $250,000. So why is private I&I flow the town's focus to most likely eliminate ongoing surcharge events? I'm going to turn it over to our consultants, Weston Sampson, Nathan Michael, to give you a little bit of the technical background of what we think is going to help mitigate or eliminate these issues.
Thank you. So I'm going to discuss why some of the data led the town to propose the house-to-house program. The town periodically performs flow metering in town, so we'll meter the flows throughout the entire town of Dedham sewer. The last time the flow metering was performed was 2022, and the data suggests that in the project area, about 60% of the flow is I&I, and Jay mentioned town-wide, it's about 50%. So this area of town has always had an I&I problem a little more than the rest of the town. And we also use this flow metering data to update the town's sewer hydraulic model. So the model is used to identify potential capacity issues in town. An example, this is an example of a sewer segment in the project area on Greensboro. And it's, in this scenario, we modeled 3 different periods. So the blue line on the bottom is the sanitary flow. That's the wastewater flow that should be in the sewer pipe. The purple line is a 1-year storm. And as you can see, it's still plenty of capacity. It's about half full. And the red line is the flow level during a 5-year storm. And the 5-year storm is approximately a little over 4 inches of rainfall. And as you can see in this particular model scenario, that red dot indicates that the sewer surcharging actually went above the grade of the ground surface. This is just another example of the hydraulic model over on Bonham Road, a little bit downstream, just to kind of give you another idea. Again, sanitary flow, plenty of capacity. A small storm, plenty of capacity. But once we get to those larger, more intense storms, we see the sewer surcharging. In this case, the The flow is starting to use capacity of the manholes, of the laterals that lead to people's houses. So it doesn't get to the roadway, but you have potential for backups into people's homes in a situation on a level like this during a storm. As you know, these intense storms are happening with more frequency. So in addition to the townwide flow metering and the modeling updates that are done periodically, the town installed some flow level meters in the project area. And this program will last about a year. And the reason for the town wanting to do this is they wanted to kind of gauge the real-time flow levels during storms, during high groundwater, and kind of see where everything is in comparison to our model. So this is just a picture of what one of those flow meters looks like. That one actually there is installed on Bonham Road. And then we also have one on Hooper and Caldwell. And that diagram there is to just kind of show you what a flow meter basically looks like. We put a depth sensor in the actual sewer flow. Then we have a backup sensor that's up on the sewer manhole wall, and then a piezometer to gauge the groundwater flow, so we can get an idea of where groundwater is at all times. So this is an example of some of the data that we've received so far on this program for March and April. This shows 3 consecutive storms that happened within 2 weeks of each other. One on March 23rd, one on March 28th, and one on April 3rd, all very similar storms, similar intensities and total rainfall. Just so you know what the graph represents, the red line, and it shows the pipe diameter, so that's set at 12 inches, and that coincides with the orange line, which is the flow in the pipe, the level of the flow of the pipe. Green is the rainfall for each of the 3 storms, and then the blue is the groundwater level throughout the monitoring period. So on 323, the groundwater, the blue line, is receding, it's low. So we get a big storm and the sewer flow upticks a little bit, but much less than the red line, which is the capacity. Then on March 28th and April 3rd, very similar storms to the one on March 23rd. You'll notice that the groundwater at the beginning of each of those storms, the blue line, is much higher than the first storm. And as soon as the storm hits, we have a huge increase in our pipe flow. The orange line going above the red line is bad, obviously. That means that we have a surcharged condition. So what we're seeing is that not only is it the rainstorms, but it's the high elevation of the groundwater combined with the rain that's really given us the issues. No, made the red a little too dark. But basically, this is just the data from that chart. So March 23rd, the groundwater level is at 36 inches. The pipe flow starts at the beginning of the storm at 4 inches and ends at 6 inches. So we're getting some II, not anything that the pipe can't handle. March 28th, the groundwater level at the beginning of the storm is about 44 inches, so about 8 inches higher. And the pipe flow depth starts at 5 inches, less than half full. And then we end that storm at 17 inches of sewer flow, which means we get a surcharge condition. Same thing with April 3rd. Pipe flow starts at 5 inches. The groundwater level is about 44 inches. And this time, because the groundwater is a little bit higher, we have a surcharge condition of 22 inches, which is about 10 inches higher than the sewer pipe. One of the reasons we're proposing this program is because what we're seeing here is rainfall-induced infiltration and inflow, and what that means is as the groundwater rises is when you see that type of infiltration and inflow, and one of the major contributors to that is sump pumps, because as the groundwater rises, your sump pump is slightly below grade of your basement. Before it gets to your basement, it pumps the water out into your yard, into a dry well, and in some cases, if it's an illicit connection, into the sewer system. So the data suggests that the next practical step is to perform these inspections to identify the prohibited connections. There's no short-term fix. Capacity upgrades are not necessary, as the model shows the sewer has plenty of capacity for normal flow. And the identification of the sump pumps in the private II sources will allow the town to evaluate, the available capacity, and if it is a problem, if removed, if this will solve the problem. And this is very similar to other programs in communities, neighboring communities all across New England. Just to kind of give you an idea of the impact of these II sources, DEP guidelines, Mass DEP guidelines suggest that a sewer sump pump during a storm can contribute anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 gallons per day of II into the system. Another example is a 100 square foot patio or 100 square feet of your driveway that leads to an area drain that's tied to the sewer contributes about 1,000 gallons per day. And just as a reference, a couple of sump pumps running all at the same time could fill a small residential pool, throughout the day. This just quickly kind of showing you why we chose the project area. Even if you're not in the immediate problem area where these surcharges are occurring, we chose the project area due to the sewer network. Everyone's sewer that is in these 1,600 parcels leads to the problem area or contributes to the capacity issues in the problem area. And this is just an example of how kind of far-reaching that is in some towns. Ledgewood Road is over 2 miles away if you follow the sewer pipe from the discharge location of this project area. So that's just, one drop of water there goes 2 miles in the sewer pipe, takes capacity of that 2 miles of pipe. Back to Jay.
Thanks, Nate. So now we're getting on to the proposed door-to-door inspection, just kind of give you an outline of what's being proposed. Timeline in front of you is today. We're talking about the proposed program, ahead of which we will go back to the Select Board in June with final documents and a description of the program, and hopefully have the town manager's approval and Select Board support. Should it go beyond that level, we're going to be prepared to have boots on the ground starting in July for inspections. That will run through September, October of '24. And then hopefully by the end of '24, the consultants will have the opportunity to review the data and prepare a report to issue back to the town. It might be a little bit hard to see up on that screen, but that basically outlines the area of the project. Put a few street markers on there for Vincent Road, Cedar Street, and Sprague Street, so you can kind of orient yourself. There's approximately 1,600 parcels in this program area. 2 of them are town-owned properties. There's approximately 16 commercial properties, and there's also 12 properties located in Westwood that also are connected to the town system that will be involved in this inspection program, proposed inspection program. The remainder are all residential properties, and in total it combines 5 sewer sub-areas. So what can you expect as part of this program? Consultants will work in 1 sewer sub-area at a time. So as I mentioned, we have 5, so they'll be working in 1 of the 5 sewer sub-areas at each time. The town will mail an informational letter to each sewer sub-area approximately 1 week before the inspection begins. It'll provide some information about what to expect, a summary of the inspection program, contact information, where to find additional information, and a copy of the consent to entry and inspection form. Inspectors from Weston and Sampson wearing Dedham Police-issued identification badges will knock on your door to conduct the inspection. Please do not allow anyone into your home unless they show you this identification. The police department will have the consultant's information on file, so if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to please call the police department to validate who's at your door. Inspectors will ask the property owner or someone over 18 years of age to sign the consent form prior to entering the building. This consent form will allow the property owner the opportunity to also allow or deny photos of any prohibitive connections that may or may not be discovered during the inspection. After the consent form is signed, the inspectors will ask you to be taken to the lowest level of your building to look for any suspected prohibitive connections. After the interior inspection, the inspectors will then exit the building and walk around the exterior perimeter of the building looking for additional suspected prohibitive connections such as yard drains, roof leaders, driveway drains. Following that, they will vacate the property. And after the program is complete, the town will send each participant a written report detailing the inspection, the areas inspected, and their findings. And if you consented to photos, there will also be an attachment of all the photos that were taken at the time of the inspection. The average time to complete an inspection is approximately 10 to 15 minutes. If photos have been allowed, they will take photos of any suspected prohibitive connections only, nothing else. If no one is home, inspectors will leave a "sorry we missed you" notice with a phone number and email address to schedule an inspection at your convenience within the next 30 days, anytime between Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Other options outside of the program, property owners can retain at their cost a licensed plumber in the state of Massachusetts to conduct the inspection of the property and submit their inspection report on their letterhead to the email address on the "sorry we missed you" notice. The property owners will still be responsible to call or email the consultants within 30 days of the notice just to confirm that they've hired a plumber to perform the inspection, the date of the inspection, and the date their inspection report will be submitted. Here's just a typical inspection that could be, is performed. We did this at one of the residents' house in Dedham, so this will give you an idea of what to expect for a typical door-to-door inspection.
We're here with Weston and Sampson. We're doing sewer inspections for the town. You may have received a package in the mail describing the inspection.
Yes.
Well, we have on the form here that explains the inspection. We could perform the inspection now, or you could call the number on the bottom of the form and schedule an appointment for a later date. It's about 10 to 15 minutes.
Right now would be fine.
All right, great.
Okay, come on.
Would you mind signing the consent form just so before we enter?
That is completely fine, sure.
Just have to put your signature.
So all we need to see is your sewer connection and the lowest level of your property.
All right, come on in. So, the lowest level of property is this area. We have no sump pump. And that's it. The sewer clean out is, so this also a very low level would be right here, the sewer clean out.
Okay, there's your clean out.
Yes.
And you don't have any sump pumps. Do you know any floor drains or anything in the house?
No floor drains, no sump pumps.
Okay, and is there any unfinished area?
No
At the lowest
unfinished,
level?
no unfinished area.
Okay. All right, so your sewer clean out cap is on, everything appears in order, and there's no sump pump to check.
Correct.
Okay, great. Do you mind if we just do perimeter inspection?
Sure, go for it.
Great. We'll be looking for any yard drains that you might have and any roof leaders that are for your house.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know if you need anything.
Great, thank you. Thank you. We completed the inspection on the exterior, and it's all set. You'll receive an inspection form in the mail once the program is complete for the entire area. So expect that in a couple months or so.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
During the inspection, we gather information on an iPad, as you can see in this example. We will record the property address and owner information, as well as who is performing the inspection. We note information on roof leaders and area drains for the outside inspection. For the inside inspection, we are primarily looking for sump pumps and floor drains. We will also inspect the sewer cleanout cap if it is visible. This data collection is an important part of the reporting process.
No. All right, last section of the evening, frequently asked questions. So we've compiled a bunch of questions that we've received either by email, through phone, or received at other offices other than DPW and engineering, sent to our attention. So we try to compile the ones that we most frequently heard and provide a response for those. Again, what is a prohibitive connection? It's an unauthorized connection, direct or indirect, to the town sewer system that introduces inflow into the system that it was not designed to handle. Examples including inside a building would be sump pumps and floor drains that are directly connected to the town's building sewer service. And outside of a building, again, yard drains, driveway drains, roof leaders that are also connected to the building sewer service. What is the difference between a stormwater system and a sewer system? Are they the same thing? These are two completely separate systems. A stormwater system typically consists of underground pipes, manholes, and catch basins that collect rainwater and snowmelt and transport it to a water body or a resource area. A sewer system typically consists of underground pipes and manholes that transport wastewater from homes and businesses to a wastewater treatment plant. My home is nowhere near Bonham or Greensboro Road where these sewer backups are occurring, so why does my home need to be inspected? All 1,600 properties share the same network of pipes. The wastewater from your property, along with the other 1,600 properties, accumulate along its path to the town's connection to the MWRA's trunk line located behind Sherman Road. I'm not comfortable with consultants entering my home. Will I be penalized for this? No, if you're not comfortable with consultants entering your home, you have the following options. You can request the police detail to be present outside your home during the duration of the inspection at no cost to you, or you can hire a licensed plumber from the state of Massachusetts to conduct the inspection according to town regulations and then send the report on the company's letterhead to our consultants within 30 days. However, failure to utilize either of these options will result in a $50 per quarter penalty assessed to your sewer bill until an inspection is completed. What gives the town the right to inspect my private property? According to Section 4.6 of the town sewer regulations, no property that has a connection to the town's sewer system shall connect any drains, foundation, driveway, yard, etc., or sump pumps to the public sewer. The town reserves the right to inspect any property with a sewer connection to confirm there are no prohibitive connections. What will happen if I'm not home when the inspectors come to my door? The consultants will leave a sorry we missed you notice, which will contain a phone number and email address for you to use to schedule an inspection within the next 30 days. Again, Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. What if the consultants find building code violations, plumbing, electrical, etc., or zoning/bylaw violations while performing their inspections? The consultants performing the inspections do not have any experience in building code and/or town zoning bylaws. The consultants are specially trained in looking for and reporting on prohibitive connections. The consultants will not be looking for or reporting on anything else. Will I receive a copy of the inspection once it's completed? You will. You will receive a copy of the inspection report once the program is complete. Well, my property was inspected in 2014. Why do I have to have my property inspected again? The town appreciates your participation in 2014, but since it has been 10 years since that program was conducted, the town needs to re-inspect your property to confirm what was observed in 2014. This round of inspections will provide new, complete data to determine the next steps and proposed plans to address the ongoing sewer issues reported by the residents in the project area. Is the town planning on doing these inspections every 10 years? The town does not have any plans to repeat these inspections every 10 years. There were approximately 316 properties that participated in 2014 within the program area that is now in front of you. These properties are only being re-inspected to determine nothing has changed since our inspection in 2014. What will happen should the town manager and its select board not approve, support the proposed door-to-door inspection program? Should this program not be approved or supported, the town will continue to find opportunities to identify and remove I&I flow from the public sewer system. But this will likely not mitigate or prevent future private property backups or roadway surcharge events. A program put in place by the state regulatory agencies may require more rapid compliance, shorter time frame to address, and may come at a higher cost to ratepayers without incentives or amnesties. If the sewer program goes forward and the prohibited connections are discovered to be the cause of the sewer backups, what are the next steps for the town? If prohibitive connections are determined to be the cause of the ongoing sewer backups, the town will develop a plan to have those connections disconnected and redirected to the appropriate source. In a perfect world, all prohibitive connections would be redirected to the town's stormwater system. Without this definitive answer, the following are possible next steps for the town, and these are just offered as a for instance. The town may design and install the necessary stormwater infrastructure within our streets that currently do not have this infrastructure so that prohibitive connections can be properly redirected to it. Properties located where the groundwater is high will likely have to connect to the town's stormwater system. Properties where groundwater is lower may have the ability to direct their prohibitive connection to a dry well on their property and just have it infiltrate. But if that's not the case, then they would also need to be connected to the stormwater system. I have a prohibitive connection and participate in the program. Will I have to pay to have my connection fixed? Once the town has a full understanding of the results of the study, the consultants will prepare a report outlining their recommendations on the best way to redirect the prohibitive connections to the appropriate sources. The town will then develop a program to have the private property prohibited connections redirected. It is unknown how this could potentially impact a property owner financially, but the town will make every effort to find other funding sources to defray costs away from the property owners. If any program is developed that provides a financial incentive to the property owners, only owners that participate in the program will be able to take advantage of that incentive program. I am against the program and refuse to participate. What should I expect? Failure to participate in the program will result in a penalty of $50 per quarter applied to your sewer bill until the inspection occurs, and you may be assessed an additional $250 per day and a civil penalty up to $5,000 if a prohibitive connection is eventually discovered. Owners that do not participate will also not be eligible for a one-time $25 credit on their sewer bill and will not be eligible for any financial assistance that may be available for the removal of prohibitive connections in the future. Do those properties that participate receive any incentives? Yes, all owners that participate will receive a one-time $25 credit on their sewer bill upon completion of the program, not the inspection. All fines with any prohibitive connections discovered at the time of the inspection will be waived, and although no final decisions have been made, should the town develop a financial assistance program to cover all or a portion of the cost to properly redirect the prohibitive connections, the owners that participate may be eligible for such programs. So at this time, we'll open it up to comments and questions. Select Board Member Dennis Tean is going to come around with a microphone for anybody who has a comment or question. We just ask that you please state your name and address. While he's setting up, We do have other information on here regarding an informational page that has been set up on the town website, and it has all those things listed on the screen this evening that you can get or subscribe to. And just to note before we get going, at the end of the meeting, we do have sign-in sheets up at the front for anybody who would like to get their email on the record so we can provide additional information as it becomes available. We also have copies of tonight's presentation, should you want to take one home with you this evening, just to have as a reference for anything that might come up in the future. Dennis, I'll let you go ahead and...
Hello, my name is Charlie Packer. I live at 218 Bonham Road. I first started noticing an issue when my wife was 7 months pregnant. I was away in a neighboring state for work. I got a call saying that our toilets and our washing machine was not functioning properly. I then received a frantic call that sewage was backing up into our house. Given that I was a few hours away, I called the emergency DPW line, and they responded by stating, well, the drains look good, and this is not our problem right now. Emergency drain services, private companies, were also no help. Until I came home, my wife had to pump sewage from the house straight into the wetlands bordering our property. We had no other choice. This was an obvious health, environmental, and property damage hazard. This was not the last time that this event would occur. Anytime sewage bubbles from the streets pouring into the wetlands, I know there's going to be an issue. The town has identified a contributing factor, some pumps being pumped to the sewer drains rather than the drainage itself. Essentially, the right way to do is out to the street, one way at least. This is a simple fix that many people likely don't even know exists on their property. I welcome the engineering department to gather the necessary data to make an informed decision on how to mitigate the problem. I think this should be welcomed by everyone in the community. I look to members in this room who have advocated for a better neighborhood and a community. Some of you have advocated for a playground in our neighborhood, not because it would benefit you directly, but because you knew it would benefit the community at large. This is a very similar situation. I understand no one likes an invasion of privacy. The engineering department is simply conducting a common sense inspection. I want to remind everyone that voluntary inspections were performed in the past with no success. Furthermore, several properties, including mine, have spent thousands of dollars on backflow preventers that sometimes, if they work perfectly, prevent sewer water from backing up into the house. However, this doesn't really solve the problem in the sense it also doesn't allow sewage to leave the house. I know people have mentioned that backflow preventers are maybe where the money should be spent, but this further fulfills the need to listen to our engineers and not simply just disinformation. We all know that quality of life is what we value so much in Dedham. Not allowing the engineering department to do its job and gather the data needed is an injustice. I also look to you, the select board. While I'm not privy to the neighborhood email list or means to mobilize a lot of people perhaps, I do consider myself social. Often talking to community members in my neighborhood, at sports games, at the bus stop, block parties, partaking in volunteering positions within this town, community members I've spoken with are extremely supportive of understanding that this is a community problem. We need to trust the people in government positions such as the engineering department to take their recommendations on how to gather data and solve a health, environmental, and property and quality of life problem. Thank you.
My name is Dan McPowland at 212 Bonham Road. I, in fact, live next to Charlie. And we have similar problems as well. We've had people in our house, like my brother and sister-in-law from Chicago with their young kids. This is years ago. And the same problem happened. We had young kids as well. We've seen enough of this. It's as simple as that. So what I want to ask is, I guess of Jason, this inspection program goes through, and I guess it's needed, okay? Say we go through this inspection program, and we do find some problems that aren't satisfactory, and those are corrected. what happens in the next 3 or 4 inch rainstorm, and we still have the same problems? Is there any kind of forward thinking to this problem as well as trying to address the immediate problem? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. There is no simple answer for that. And that's why we're doing this, and we're trying to be as quick and proactive as we can to get to the building inspections to identify the potential issues. There is really not much in the terms of an immediate workaround in order to mitigate these problems as it exists right now, but I can work with our consultants to see if there might be something that can be done in the intermediate time while we're developing this program and developing our recommendations and conclusions.
One more question. There's going to be results from the study. Are they going to be published to the rest of us? And are they going to use, in case this 3 to 4 inch rainstorm comes again, and the same thing happens, what's going to come from, I know I'm kind of speculating, but will those results assist in moving forward should more problems happen in the neighborhood? Thank you.
The data and report that is formulated from the consultants will definitely be shared with anybody who wants to have access to it, just not those in the program area, but it'll be up on the town website. And if you subscribe or if you provide your email this evening, we'll have direct way to reach out to those that are interested to let you know when it's out there or when the next meeting is or if any new information comes out. So it's a good avenue. If you don't do it here this evening, if you subscribe on the town's website, we can keep everyone up to date as best as possible.
Jim Marr, 22 Sherman Road. So Weston Sampson showed some numbers up there having to do with groundwater table. And it's already been proven that in our neighborhood, the groundwater level is extremely high because all of the stormwater from the Paul Park, Oakdale neighborhoods come through the manor. So the stormwater from Sherman Road, where I live, it flows down to Trenton, Gainesville, Bonham, and it's contributing to their groundwater also. So it was pinpointed at our last flood meeting that we have an outfall issue for our stormwater in the neighborhood, but I don't see anything here that addresses moving the stormwater out of the neighborhood to lower the groundwater. Weston Sampson showed a direct correlation that as the groundwater goes up, the infiltration goes up also. Why aren't we focusing on stopping the flooding and the groundwater levels going up? And it's been brought in a number of meetings to the attention of the engineering department that, okay, we have a sewage issue addressed being caused by a stormwater issue that's running through the Manor neighborhood. Next question.
I'll answer that one first,
Yeah,
so I
go
don't
ahead,
get
answer.
lost in the questions. So they seem to be related, but they're not necessarily related. You can mitigate flooding, but with the increase in climate change and the severity of our storms, groundwater will still continue to be high. And as groundwater is high, people will do what is natural to protect their homes and turn their sump pumps on. We need to just educate them and help them redirect them to the appropriate sources and not to put it in the sewer system, which is taken away from the valuable capacity of that system, which is just intended for wastewater and not stormwater.
And again, based on the numbers, how many offenders are expected out of the 1,600 that's going to actually make an impact on the infiltration rate? Is it 5%, 10%? What if the study is done and there is no impact number that's being hit that's going to help the situation? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Weston Sampson believes this is our best course of action to identify the problem. Should we not find it to be the problem, then we have to go back to the drawing board and figure out why this is happening and what the cause of that is. And we may have to come up with something else. But right now, this is the first task in order to get to the next phase. It could be redirecting these sources because we found it, or we missed the mark and we have to find something else, and the consultant's going to have to help us again try to figure out what's going on. But with everything that we've done on the public side over the years since 2007, there really isn't much left to uncover. It really is revolving around the private properties and just the way that the rain from stormwater events is being redirected incorrectly to the sewer system and not the stormwater system.
Jason, just one question too, because it's timely to what Jim asked. Could you just talk a little about the alternatives that you did consider and why you think they wouldn't be appropriate? And then I'm going to move over to Carlene.
Yeah, I'll have Weston Sampson come up and talk about some of the alternatives.
Yeah, so alternatives, as Jay mentioned, when you start in an II program, obviously the first thing we do is the town-owned system, so lining pipe, lining manholes. Jay already mentioned the percentage that we've done in the project area there. That's always the first step. We just embarked on a program to remove infiltration from private laterals because as you remove it from the main lines, it migrates. So, potentially any infiltration inflow that was going into the main line might now be coming into the laterals to your houses. So that's why we've been investigating those over the past few years. So really we're just chipping away at it. It's difficult to find, a stream going into the sewer system. It's always it's like paper cuts kind of thing. So we identify what we can in the order that we can do it. The next thing in just the kind of the process in most communities is to try to find these private II sources. The town has done smoke testing already in town, and we've, I believe we rejected a catch basin not too far from the project area. So we've identified the public inflow sources, which is also important, but again, there's just not one fix for these. And then as far as alternatives, it's just not feasible. There's no way to store. You wouldn't, unless you had a combined system, you wouldn't want to store stormwater or that was entering the sewer system and treat it like that. That's more for a community. That's a combined system. And then also the backflows and items like that to prevent it from going into people's homes isn't a long-term solution because ultimately that person's turning their water off, which is obviously isn't something you can live with. So that's kind of why that's just the natural progression of these programs is to try to identify this and see if it's the problem. So.
Hi, Carlene Campbell Hegarty, 57 Holmes Road. A couple of things. One, I'm not completely against this project at all on the face value. I think we need to figure out what's going on. But from the conversations that we've had with Jason and other people, I keep hearing that the issues are coming, and they're coming from above the manor in Bonham Road and everything coming down. And my problem with this is the mandatory fines. I think they're punitive. I think it shouldn't be a part of this. I think it's being punitive. And then my other question is, if we're looking at this in totality, are you going to go back to the other neighborhoods that you did this at the beginning that wouldn't let you in, where from what we've had conversations previously with Jason, it's coming down to us? Are you going to go back to those homes who wouldn't let you in the first time and say, if you don't let us in, we're going to charge you $50 and then we're going to charge you up to $215 a day? Because I feel like half the city didn't get fined, but we are, when everything's coming down to us. And that's my biggest problem of this. And also, I just want to talk about communication and lack thereof it, about this whole entire process for this project. The only notification I've been given about any of this is the Jim Mar and the Manor Neighborhood notifications. I haven't gotten letters. I haven't gotten emails. I haven't gotten the flyers. So I think the town really needs to focus on how they get this information out to neighborhoods being affected, because I think a lot of the frustration that happened around this project, had it been done and communicated more appropriately and better, I don't think half of the people would have been as angry as what we're hearing, because we weren't getting the appropriate information to us in a timely manner. And it seemed like the town was moving forward without even coming back and talking to the neighborhoods about it. Thank you.
Colleen, thank you for the comments. I believe there was the one question in there pertaining to the other properties outside of the program area being built and inspected. Right now, we're only focused on the 1,600 properties that when they flush their toilet or use their sink, it ends up in the one discharge point behind Sherman Road. I'm more than happy to continue doing building inspections throughout the town, because I think there's a benefit to redirecting any source of I&I flow, because it saves the ratepayers, the customers, from having to pay additional money on sewer assessments to have that clean water treated and transported at your cost. So I'd be more than happy to entertain that with the select board if they wish to decide to move forward with that. But right now, I'm focusing on a location in town where there's a public health risk. So that's the target there. Those that do not participate, the proposal is to have a $50 penalty on your quarterly sewer bill until an inspection is made.
Good evening, Andrew Titler, 2030 Gainesville Road. You had mentioned doing the town paying for and doing linings of private laterals. You had done a number of them. Is that something that's still ongoing? Is that something that that's still possible if you have a lateral and wanted to have the town do it?
Good question, Andrew. Thank you. Yes, that program's still alive and well. We analyze private laterals based upon a cost benefit by the amount of infiltration that we're observing in there. So those that have very little infiltration, there isn't a benefit to spend the kind of money that we do to line those. But as we find those, and this is all over town, we put those in the queue along with our public system that needs addressing. So we continue to do that, and we try to eliminate those sources of infiltration when we can and when available funding is there.
Okay, because that would keep tree roots out of your sewer line and help with drainage as well. Okay, thank you. Overall, on the program itself, I have to say that I've heard everything that I wanted to hear out of this, and I'd say go forward. That would be my view.
Mary Ann Martin, 15 Holmes Road. I came into the meeting questioning some stuff, and now I'm all in. Come on in whenever. But my problem is, one, I'm living in the driest house I've ever lived in, and I've been in 6 addresses in this neighborhood. And the most water in my entire family was on Taylor Ave. Can we proactively schedule the inspections? I work all the time. I am never home, and I know me. I will fail to call. I will fail to let you in, and I will get the fine for the rest of my days, and I just can't pay another dollar in taxes and fees and fines in this town. I just can't. So could we proactively set up something so I am home, ready, waiting for them that day?
Good question, Marianne. Thank you. Due to the amount of properties, it's very difficult to individualize properties, but there's going to be several letters coming to your property, one week in advance, which will have phone numbers and email addresses where you could proactively schedule right away before they come knock on your door. There'll be a sorry we missed you if they do happen to come to your door and you're unavailable, or if you're there, they'll hand it to you because it's an inconvenience, and they'll just say, schedule it when you have a chance, here's the information. And we'll also provide a reminder, as that 30-day approaches that, your time's starting to disappear, so please take advantage of coordinating and scheduling inspections. So there's going to be at least 3 mailings or specific targets to those properties to let them know that there's still time to schedule that and get it done. But we do have to put some of the onus onto the property owner to get that back, as there's 1,600 properties to try to keep track of to do that.
You can do it now.
Well, hopefully we come when you're there.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike Michael Leahy, I live on Lancaster Road. Jason, just a quick question about this methodology. I know that you mentioned that you've done a lot of the legwork that is required to get you to this point. And I'm just curious to know, this doesn't sound like it's a unique problem to Dedham. And have other towns experienced this? And has the methodology that you're using to hopefully identify the issue, has that been successful in other towns? And what has been the public response in these other towns to the inspection program, if indeed that's the route they went? Thanks.
Thanks for the question, Mike. I'll try to answer that, but if Weston Sampson has me say something out different, because I'm kind of using what they've described to me in the past, they can come up and correct me. But there's been several communities throughout the Commonwealth where they do have inflow and infiltration problems, that this is the prescribed method to move forward with. And although you do have the same concerns and questions that you get from the residents, more often than not, the town or city decides to continue moving forward with it because of its importance to the overall fabric of the neighborhood or the town or the city as a whole. Not really sure about what they've done in their next phases, but I do know that it has been used in several other communities in the Commonwealth, so it's not an unusual program to be utilized.
Rose Fabray, Hooper Road. I just want to thank everybody here that is explaining this very complicated problem. You've done incredible work, the health departments, the select board, engineering, all of you. One picture is worth 1,000 words. Just seeing that toilet paper in the street is enough for me to say, yes, bring it on, come do the inspections. That is horrible to have something like that. It's very dangerous. You're talking a health department problem, sickness, you walk your dogs. If you have an animal, you're walking your dog, and heaven knows what your animal is stepping in. You're going for a run. You're stepping in it, you're bringing it into your home. I don't understand a lot of this engineering thing, but that's all I had to see was toilet paper in the middle of the street. That has to be addressed. And I thank you so much for trying your best to get to the bottom of this. No matter what we have to do, it should be accepted as they're trying to help us, and they're trying to mitigate what is happening. It's starting at the least point of resistance here. So that's all I had to say. That, like I said, one picture is worth 1,000 words. That's all I had to see. Thank you very much.
Joan Connors, 66 Altoona Road. And I just want to comment on the cost of the house-to-house. And I just want everybody to be aware that it's costing us $500,000 to do these inspections. And within the last few days, I got emails saying that there is, with a court order to get into the houses, and I don't know if that'll drive that number up to more, but that's all paid out of our taxes. We choose, and that's what we're going to end up with. So if we choose to let this go by and, fight against it, it's just going to cost more money in the end, and that's something that we're going to pay for. All the choices we make fall back on us and our tax money that we're paying to the town. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was the stop valves. I heard Dan and Charlie. They have to look at the weather every time it rains and figure out, is it going to rain? Is it going to rise? Do I have to close my stop valves? If I go on vacation, I have to close my stop valves. So they have to know, all these residents, which there are 16 right now, and as it rains more and more, because they said it's only going to be an increase, are they going to be more than those 16 residents affected? We all may be affected at some point, so we have to think about that. And we also have some compassion for our neighbors who are going through this that shouldn't have to. You know, choices are made to dump sump pumps into the sewerage system, and that just raises the level of the water. We're also paying the MWRA $750,000 for that extra water to be taken away right now. As we get more and more rain, that number's only going to rise, and that comes out of our taxes. So we have to look for that. How I got involved with this is I normally clean up the bottom woods. And this year was the first year I didn't do it because I heard there was sewerage in the street down there and toilet paper when I went down there because I was going to go down and do it. So I did not clean it this year. My question is an EPA question. Those are woodlands and they are wetlands. And the plan that the town has, we received 2 grants to take and clean up those areas. And what they're going to do is they're going to clean up the bottom woods and the foul metal on Trenton Street. And they're going to place piping in there and trenching, and that's all going to drain out to the Neponset River. Right now, we have sewerage running in there. And over the years, the town had engineered that area was trenched before. People throw grass and leaves in there. That's kind of cut down, so that now they're coming in with a grant, 2 grants, one for foul metal again, and one for bottom woods to retrench that whole area and get rid of some of the water in the area. So there is an EPA impact to this, and I just wanted to say that. And I'd like to, if people choose to pay the $50, my concern is what's going to happen to that sewage. It's still going to run, and now we're going to run into EPA fines because now we have a problem that's running into the Neponset River. So that has to be looked at. Additionally, let me just look at what else I have here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. That's an empty page. And so we need to care about the resolution, but that's what I have to say right now on the subject. And I want to thank Jason and the town members and the team from the outside vendor for taking the time to have all our concerns. And, I do know there was one more thing. You know what? I was reading that there was trenching going on in Riverdale for stormwater. And I'm wondering why that trenching didn't start in the Manor section so that we could drain those sump pumps out to that trenching. Right now, we have no trenching. So I'm going to ask you, why wasn't the Manor chosen first, and why was Riverdale chosen over the Manor? And when is this going to happen for the Manor? Because I thought we should have been first with this whole problem going on, because then we'd have a place to drain those sump pumps.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for your question.
Yeah.
The project that's going on in Riverdale right now is a BMP stormwater retrofit, where we're installing infiltration trenches to take some of the stormwater to essentially improve water quality. Those infiltration trenches are targeted to remove phosphorus in the Charles River watershed area, which Riverdale is associated with. And that is part of our mandate through the MS4 permit to remove a certain amount of pounds of phosphorus over the next 15 years. Unfortunately, the Manor is not located within the Charles River watershed, and we do not receive any credit for doing the phosphorus there. But also at the same time, it wouldn't work in the Manor neighborhood because of the high groundwater level. We cannot infiltrate much of anything in the Manor neighborhood because of the high groundwater. We have to find other ways to do that, and it's most likely going to revolve around those upland areas that bring water down to the Manor neighborhood to try to capture that before it makes its way down to help slow down or mitigate the amount of stormwater that comes down in that neighborhood. And that's something that we're going to continue to venture and try to find solutions for through our MVP grant program. And with continued support from the Manor neighborhood and those around it, hopefully we continue to get grant funding to make improvements on designs and changes in regulations in order to make those necessary improvements. And without that grant funding, it's very difficult for any community to advance those discussions and hopeful implementation of projects. But that would be the envisionment of trying to mitigate some of the ongoing flooding associated with the manor, is to capture it uphill before it gets downhill. So those are a lot of things that we're trying to work on. I hope that, in a short way, answers your questions associated with that.
Gemma Martin, Bonham Road, neighbors with Charlie and Dan, and I have had the exact same sewage problems that they have had, and I fully support this project. I would like to suggest to everyone that has concerns about inspectors coming into your homes that Eversource comes into your home if you have gas service. They come in regularly. It is mandated. Dedham Westwood Water District comes into your home regularly. They sometimes don't even let you know that they're coming. I've had Bob Fish just walk up and knock on my door and say, hey, I have to check something. And they just come in. Nobody seems to have a problem with that. I don't know why you'd have a problem with this. They just need to come in and take a look. You saw Charlie on the video. He did a great job, Charlie. Good acting. People just need to let this happen and let the problem get solved. The pipes seem to be getting fixed. They're fine. This is just a problem that needs to be solved. I have had the benefit of being able to throw some money at my situation. All of my neighbors can't throw money at this situation, and they are going to get sewage constantly. One neighbor told me they find food on their toilet seat. That is disgusting. I have had sewage hit the ceiling of my shower stall. That is a propulsion of poop. You don't want this in your homes. I don't want this in my home anymore. We are just asking for a little help here. The select board is trying to help us. We just want you to let them help us. Thank you.
Hi, Mallory Anzalone. I live on Hillsdale Road. I'm noticing a lot of the folks that live on Bonham speaking up. I am not affected by any of the sewage, but I walk my daughter down Bonham Road every single day on the way to the playground. And I just feel like a lot has been said about building community in the manor, and this is an opportunity for us to do something to build community in the manor. I understand why people don't want someone in their home inspecting it, but I would rather have someone in my home inspecting it than have sewage in my home, and I think this is just a good opportunity for us to do something neighborly, even if it inconveniences us or makes us feel uncomfortable. This is a way that we really actually build community and build, nice things that last into the future for our neighbors. So hopeful that folks can get on board with this.
So while I'm walking over to, the presentation will be available on the town website for anyone that wants to look at your slides, is that right?
Yes, it should be available sometime tomorrow, but if you'd like a copy, we do have hard copies of the presentation up at the front for anybody who would like to take one home with them.
Hi, I'm Debbie from Bonham Road, and I am not affected by any of this right now, so I came to see what it was about. I totally don't understand any of it. I don't want any of the sewer. My main problem is the money. We are on a fixed income. A lot of people are on a fixed income, and these prices, what's it going to cost after it's fixed? After we let them in the house, what's it going to cost? Is it going to keep going up? Because if you don't let them in the house, it costs anyhow. So if you let them in the house, how long before it's going to cost you again? Things are constantly going up in the town of Dedham. Can you explain that?
No, and you're not wrong with your question, but we can't speculate of what this may result in. The thing that we do have to know is that, let's just say that we do find out that the sump pumps and the redirection is the primary issue at hand. We'll have to work with the select board, the town manager, and you as the public to develop a program that everyone can be hopefully on board with, whether it's the town, again, all the ratepayers pay to the sewer enterprise fund, whether we use that money to fully support the redirection at no cost to you, kind of what we're doing with the private infiltration, maybe, or maybe there is not an appetite to have that and it might be borne on the homeowner. But I have no idea what that potential is. It's all speculation right now, but it is something that you'll have to be brought back in to have discussions on with the future once we figure out the end result of this program and what we have as data.
I mean, it's likely that it's, because if it's going to cost if you don't let them in the house, once you let them in the house and any work begins. I mean, we don't have those problems, but if any work begins, then it's going to cost again. And it just keeps going up, everything in the town. So I was just curious. It doesn't seem to be a win-win situation, money-wise.
It will help you in the terms of reducing clean water that you're currently paying for going into the sewer system to be transported and treated by the MWRA. So every gallon of clean water that we're able to remove, although you may not have a water problem, is one less gallon that you as a ratepayer have to pay in your sewer bill to have it transported and treated. So there is a net result benefit for those that aren't experiencing sewer backups directly. There's a relationship in terms of what your sewer bill is, and you can relate that I&I removal on the town side by the fact that we haven't really adjusted our rates only but once since 2008, and I don't think there's any other community in Massachusetts that can say that they haven't raised their rates more than once since 2008, and that's at a reduction of our inflow and infiltration from the system. So there is a relationship, regardless if you have a direct sewer backup or not. There's a benefit in terms of the removal of clean water that we don't have to transport and treat.
Isn't that a rate?
I'm sorry, say it again.
The sewer bill just started last year. We just got that. I've been in Dedham for a long time, and that extra sewer bill or rainwater bill, whatever it was, just came last year. So that's an increase, correct?
It's only an increase in terms of stormwater, not sewer. We have a new permit associated with the stormwater, and the only way that we can recover that funds is to tie it directly with our sewer enterprise. That's one avenue that we can collect and have that money available to use for stormwater, but it has nothing to do with sewer.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Joan Connors again, 66 Altoona Road. Question, so the program's going to run July through September, and then you're going to give people a chance to disconnect from the system. So what is the expected time frame that you're looking for them to disconnect from the system, and when are Gemma, Charlie, and Dan going to be able to see, and others going to be able to see the impact of that disconnect? So what is your expectation for that?
Right now, there is no time frame for the redirection because we have to assess the problem and collect the data. So we're not going to be saying, oh, we found a prohibitive connection, so in September, October, you're going to hear from us that we want you to redirect it and get it fixed. That won't be the case. What we're going to do is collectively, as a town, decide what our best avenue is for, we'll call it Phase B, on how to get prepared to redirect those connections. Right now, a lot of homes that may have a sump pump, they don't have a stormwater pipe in front of their house that they can connect to. We may, as a town, have to install a whole bunch of drainage on certain roadways in order to make them available for connection. So some of these houses may not even be ready, and we don't expect them to do anything right now because we don't know the best avenue to redirect them. We need to find the data, find the problem, and then develop a solution specific to the target areas that we determine from the inspections.
Saying is that there is not a end date for this. It may go on for years. That sewage may continue to spill out into the wetlands and cause impact to the residents in the area. And then we're going to have more people because now we have more rain. So I think there should be an end date to this project. I do not think that it should be open-ended.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that, and we're going to move as fast as we can, but without collecting the data, we don't know where to go. So that's the first thing, is to collect the data and then hopefully develop something, and maybe it's fast, or maybe it's going to take a little time, because things do cost money in order to get it in the ground. So we have to just wait and see what we actually get for data and what the conclusions are.
Caldwell Drive in Dedham. I was just seeing what percentage of the streets affected have stormwater already installed?
I don't know offhand, Chris, but it's probably low. There's a lot of catch basins at major intersections, but more often than not, the pipes don't run up side streets and the such. And again, we want to be really careful about where we install them. We don't want to just randomly install drainage pipes to areas that don't have sump pumps. It doesn't really help in that aspect. We want to be able to find those areas that have sump pumps, see if the infrastructure's in place. If not, figure out what we need to install in order to accommodate those houses, so then we can properly redirect them.
Nice. Thank you.
Dennis, we have time for like one or two more after that. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time for 8 o'clock.
This is a fast one. Are there going to be follow-up meetings like this, say after this inspection process is over? Will that be discussed with residents in a similar forum?
No, that's a great question. So again, this is still proposed, and we're going to have to go in front of the select board, and we're going to try to be getting onto one of their June schedule agendas, and hopefully going for support and or approval. So that'll be your next opportunity to come, listen, join online. I would say, if you provide your email tonight, we'll be able to get that information. If you subscribe, and when you visit the website dedicated to this project, you'll get alerts for when that meeting is. Other than that, you need to stay in tune with the town's calendar and just keep an eye on when that's coming up. But I'm really stressing to try to get in front of the select board in June sometime, so we can try to stay on time with the timeline. And just before Dennis closes, just again, some of us will be here after the meeting if you just wanted to come up and chat with us about anything that you have questions or concerns. Also, again, we have the sign-up sheets if you want to leave your email address for future correspondences, and also a copy of the presentation that we had this evening. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, well, listen, we just want to take a quick second to thank everyone that came tonight, asked good questions, gave us a lot to think about. The one thing I think for sure, and I definitely take this to heart, is that we need to do a really great job moving forward of being very assertive about how we communicate with people on this program. And maybe we haven't done the best job of that to this point, but I think moving forward, we're going to try and make sure we do a really good job of that, so that a lot of these questions are answered before we get to this point. So we'll keep the lines of communication open. We're going to consider, I know all of us are here, I'm sure we're all going to take to heart everything that was said, all the pros and cons, and try and find a path forward that finds a solution to this problem and is also respectful of some of the concerns that people have. So thank you all for coming.